Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The path to the WBO rankings is paved in regional titles. We now have 10 minor title holders in the latest update of the WBO rankings. And notable inclusions this month include Evgeny Romanov and also Daniel Dubois. So I will come to them shortly and discuss their prospects and what they've done and what we could expect next. But first, let's crack through the rankings, and we have some stability this month in the WBO rankings, 1 through 7. So we have Dillian Whyte, Tom Schwarz, Jarrell Miller, Tyson Fury, Oscar Rivas, Zhilei Zhang, Tyrone Spong. They are the same 7 from last month. As we know, with Dillian Whyte at number 1 spot, he's been there for some months now. He holds the international belt, although I actually did think that was on the line recently in Junior Far's most recent fight. He's further down in the rankings. So it'll be interesting because I'm pretty sure that was actually on the line for Far's fight. If you have any information on that, let me know, because pretty sure that was on the line. Whyte, he will be back in action potentially in July. His promoter Eddie Hearn is saying July 13th in the UK, although he has had offers from ESPN and Top Rank potentially for a United States fight, and if he signed on with them in some sort of co-promotional arrangement or outright, he could potentially be fighting in America. Number 2, Tom Schwarz recently had a win over a former cruiserweight, another disappointing sort of opponent, took him out in a couple of rounds. And Tom Schwarz, you know, he's been bouncing around this top 6 for some time. Need to see him step up because he is on the verge of, you know, a title eliminator or, you know, a very big fight without really having earned or sort of taken some of those steps that we would expect him to take. I know Jarrell Miller, who's at number 3, gets a lot of criticism for some of the opponents that he's fought because he got to a certain level and just didn't sort of up the opposition. But Tom Schwarz hasn't even got to Jarrell Miller's level of opposition. There is no Gerald Washington's or Marius Wack on Tom Schwarz's record, and he's above Miller here. Miller at 3, we know, is fighting in June against Anthony Joshua. At 4, Tyson Fury, set to potentially return to the ring June 15th, opponent TBC, but there is a lot of talk and speculation about the guy below him, Oscar Rivas, who is at 5. And that would be a decent fight for Rivas, pretty decent paycheck, and by far and away the toughest opponent in his career. He'd be giving up, you know, almost a foot in reach and, you know, several inches in height. It would be an uphill battle for Oscar Rivas if Tyson Fury is in, you know, fighting fit and in good form. At number 6, Zhilei Zhang. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him in 2019 because he, like a number of these other guys that are below him with some of these regional titles, has been treading water. We need to sort of see more of Zhilei Zhang and what he can actually do. It's time to step him up. What is he, about 20-0 now? We need to see more of him. He needs to go through the gears and actually take some of those tougher fights that we expect these heavyweights to do at a certain level in his career. It's been very carefully matched so far. And that is the same as well for Tyrone Spong. Be good to see in 2019 with Zhang, also Junior Far below him, Kyotaru Fujimoto further down on the rankings. They've actually got to put up or shut up because it is they are taking up ranking space here, and they've been here for several months, all of these guys, and we need to see them in bigger and better fights. Junior Far, he most recently fought the start of March. He's at number 8 here. That was a French opponent, Newfell Owata, who was always an overmatched opponent. Far took him out in a round. Number 9, Ajit Kabayal, he's up a spot or 2 this month. He had a fight also on March the 2nd. He was headlining the same card that Tom Schwarz appeared on. Kabayal really outclassed Andre Rudenko, and you could kind of go, well, Kabayal has been facing better opposition than Schwarz, who hasn't been terribly active himself, but Kabayal is all the way down in 9th position, and Schwarz is somehow up at number 2, and his opposition in the past couple of years has been rather limited. You know, these rankings, it sort of beggars belief, and the mind boggles over this stuff. Kyotaru Fujimoto, he falls down a couple of spots this month to number 10. He needs to get cracking and face someone decent. I still, when I think about Fujimoto, reflect on some comments that he made recently that he wants to get to a heavyweight title fight, and, you know, if he wins or loses that, you know, he'd quit boxing as soon as possible after that. for me, that doesn't sound like the attitude of a guy who's really wanting to be committed to the sport or part of the sport, that this is a bit of a grind for him and that it really is an opportunity to maximize paydays, for his career and then gone. I don't know if he's got the drive and determination to really go any further, and perhaps the ability is not there as well. We have to remember Fujimoto was taken out by Solomon Hamono a number of years ago, and Hamono has never been more than a gatekeeper, and he's certainly a journeyman these days. Number 11, Bryant Jennings. In at number 12, we have one of the new additions to the WBO Top 15, Evgeny Romanov. He recently picked up the WBO Global title, beating Dylan Carmen, stopping him in a very impressive performance. So he is in at 12, and if you don't know who this guy is, you can check out some highlights and footage. He is the guy that beat Deontay Wilder in the amateurs. So he's only recently turned pro in the last couple of years, left his run a little bit late because he is actually in his 30s. 33 years old. He's undersized at 6 foot, so who knows how far he can go in this division that really is comprised of tall timber. The guys having the success in the division are certainly a number of inches taller generally than Romanov, who is at 6 foot, but very talented. He's got power, and he proved that against Dylan Carmen. In at 13, we have another new addition, Daniel Dubois, who enters the WBO rankings for the first time. He is now 10-0, recently beat Razvan Kajanu to pick up the WBO Europe strap. So Dubois, this is probably going to be a theme now. He will only continue climbing these rankings in the next 12 to 18 months, working his way into some sort of, eliminator situation, final eliminator eventually, and potentially down the line, maybe 2 years' time, a mandatory position. You can kind of see the arc that they're going to take Dubois on. So he's 10-0 now. So by the time he reaches 16, 17, 18-0, he will be in a good spot for a very big fight in the heavyweight division. But they're not going to rush him. Expect more learning fights for now. Potentially you could see Dubois in with a Johan Dorper or a Marius Wok or someone of that ilk. I could see that. Then again though, he has sparred with Wok before, so would they do that fight? Maybe, maybe not. But Wok is coming to the end of his career. I could see him being just like Kajanu and Kevin Johnson before. Him, and there's a number of other guys like that who are on the slide, but Gerbil could give him some work, some rounds, and we can see what Dubois can do. But I'm not totally convinced this fight with Nathan Gorman happens down the line at the back end of this year. Talking a stadium fight, but really there's no buzz for that right now. At number 14 is Ali Erin Demirishian. I've been a little bit surprised he's maintained his ranking because he dropped the WBO Europe strap that he had last year, and he hasn't really been fighting since. I'm surprised he's sort of stayed in the mix here, but we'll have to see what happens with him. And at number 15 is Richard Lartey, who holds the WBO Africa strap. He will be fighting Daniel Dubois, actually, and this will be coming up in April. Expect Dubois to take care of Richard Lartey with a minimum of fuss. Lartey is a big puncher, but also if you've seen the limited footage that is online about him, he is relatively open, and I think Dubois will exploit any defensive frailties and take him out. And the couple of guys who dropped out of the rankings this month to make way for Dubois and Romanov were Christian Hammer, who was previously in at 12, and also Filip Hrgović. He was right on the bubble there at 15th last month, and he's dropped just outside the 15. So Filip Hrgović, no doubt, once he has another fight or two, will be back in, I'm sure. But you can start to see there's a bit of a theme here with guys who are coming through now, some of these young guys, prospects coming up, the likes of Dubois and Romanov. You also have Junior Fa, who's still somewhat in that prospect phase, but he's sort of transitioning into the sort of fringe contender stage, as is a guy like Tyrone Spong. But it'll be good to see those guys have some step-up fights this year. All of these guys, I want to see them keep tracking through those levels. But what do you make of it all? Romanov and Dubois crack the WBO top 15. The top 7 is basically the same as last month. And Filip Hrgović, he dips out, as does Christian Hammer. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out. If you want even more boxing content, come and join me on Patreon. Every week on a Sunday, I drop a new video on something topical or thought-provoking from the heavyweight division, ranging from rankings, the business of boxing, the false economy of deluded fanboys, the twists and turns in the division, to assessments of fighters and their statements. I hope to see you there, and for more information go to patreon.com/boxing squared. The address is on screen now.